Before we go too deep into our application, I think it's always good early on to implement our user authentication system. So we're going to be using Devise for doing all of that. It's essentially just the login, logout piece of the application. And we could always build it out ourselves, but Devise is such a powerful gem that I think using it is more wise than creating our own authentication system. So if we go into our gem file here, we haven't even touched this. Let's get rid of all of these comments here. All right. And what we can do is say gem devise. Now, I like to cancel out our server whenever we're adding a new gem, just to make sure that when I start it up again, that everything has been taken into account. So what we can do here is just run bundle, and it'll go through and install Devise for us. All right. And now let's just take a look at our Devise, make sure that we have it in here. Not seeing it. Let's double check. On it again. It goes through. I don't see Devise anywhere. Yeah, there it is right here. Sorry about that. So we have our Devise 341, and what we can do here is, actually should have pulled it up first. Devise gem, go onto their page here, their GitHub page, and follow the documentation. So once we have that installed, gem devise, do a Rails G devise install. And we'll want to make sure to follow all of the instructions that come up right here. So it says to config our default right here in our development RB file. We'll just put away at the bottom here. We want to make sure that we have a root path in our routes, which we do. Our application, HTML. For now, we can do this. We're going to be changing the way our notices work, but for now, we can follow the instructions. So our application, HTML, the body here, we'll put in the code that they gave us. And then if you're using 3.2, which we're not, we can skip the step number 4. But we definitely for sure want to do the Rails G devise views. These are basically just the forms that you'll see when you actually click on logging in. So good. Now that we have that, we'll want to do a Rails generate devise and whatever your model is going to be. So in our case, Rails G devise, we're going to have a user model. And then here, we'll have to want to rake db migrate. So it goes through and actually creates all of those tables there. And now we should be good to go. So actually we need to start our server again. Now if we do a refresh here, oh, we get it up here. This is our tags, our application here. Let's just get rid of them. We don't need those there, at least not yet. Now how do we log in and log out? Well, I always like keeping the sign in and sign on pages kind of in the upper right hand corner. So let's just change this phone number piece into logging in and logging in, or signing in and signing out. So we can do that by going into our header partial, if you remember, and finding this number right here, this call us right here, and change it. So let's just see what it does when we delete it all. It gets rid of it for us. Great. And what we can do is go into our rake routes and figure out what our paths are in order to sign in, sign out. And so you can see here that Devise, by creating that user model, it's gone through and created all of these other paths here. If you go into our routes folder, our routes file, you see that we have a Devise for users, which we decide to call all of our models. So let's grab the one that we want. How do you sign in? So here, well, we have a sign up as well, but for sign in it'll be a Devise session. So we want to create a new session of signing in. So what we can do is just take this new user session, and we can make it a list for now. Say link to sign in, and append the underscore path to it. If we do a refresh, there we have it, a sign in. Now we can do the same thing for sign up. So if we look at our routes here, we'll see Devise registration, new user registration right here. So if we do a path here, underscore path of that, we'll have a sign in, sign up. And this looks ugly because we're not doing any sort of styling here, but we can if we'd like. Let's just do it real quick since it should be relatively fast. Copy those. Copy those. Put it in here. And in our URL, we can have a class of inline pull rate. That should work. There you go. Sign in and sign up. We could do a few other things too, but I think this is good enough for now. So now when we click on the sign in page here, we'll be taken to this login form. If we do a sign up, we'll be taken to creating a new user. So I like getting out the authorization piece first, or at least early on, so that when we're creating, say, a review, or we need to change this link right here. We're creating a review, or we're creating a new restaurant that we're requiring users to be signed in order to do that. We don't want anybody just to create a review, because then you start running into spam and all these bots and whatnot. So I like getting out the user authentication system early on, so that we can help kind of control that entire process as we continue to build out the application. So there you have it. That's how we implement Devise. Later on, what we'll do is clean up these forms right here so that they actually look a lot nicer, and they're not pulled all the way to the left here, and you can hardly see them.